Hey guys, Kiki here. Saturday for Revolution. I tried that multiple times. I kept saying Sunday. This whole 2-week thing is throwing me off. Yes, so this week's a free week, and I want to kind of respond to what Carla was talking about. Yes, first of all, Carla, many hugs. I wish you all the strength and everything through going through the situation. I understand it can be very stressful and very upsetting, especially when you're somebody who's very active with, body acceptance and fat acceptance or, health exercise, any of these types of things. It can become extremely stressful and extremely upsetting. Having to admit you're having issues. Something that both you and Jen in her response video on her channel had talked about was having to be extremely honest with yourself and honest with changes you need to make, especially if it's anything that's related to being overweight. And I think, or at least this is from my point of view, something I've had to deal with, and it comes from the whole thing of standing on the rooftops and being the person that's being like yelling, weight does not equate health, and yelling from the rooftops, I'm healthy and fat, and becoming very, I know I'd get very irritated anytime anybody would mention anything about my health in relation to my weight, because I was a very big proponent of weight does not equate health. And so I think there is this mentality that we have to completely separate them out, and any type of mention of a problem that has anything to do with weight or possibly do with weight somehow besmirches that idea and that message you're trying to get out. And I think that in doing that, I think that the biggest problems without that is it leads some people to not be completely honest with themselves, that they're having an issue, whether it be a health issue or just a mobility issue or a pain issue or whatever. And I think that's extremely problematic for a thing that's for a movement that is not only about acceptance, but it's also getting people who are fat, who have body issues, moving to a place that will put them in a healthier mindset because of the completely downtrodden and just horribly oppressed place that you were in before, feeling everybody's right because you're a horrible, disgusting, ugly, horrible person for being fat or being whatever. And I think that it does cause problems, because if you ignore that, it can cause problems down the road. I used to be among those, especially when I first got into this whole thing, because yes, I'm fat, I'm obese, I'm a big fat chick, and I at this point in my life, I don't have any health issues, or not any more than any other 34-year-old. And so, I would become extremely frustrated and extremely angry when anybody pointed out, oh, well, you're going to, I loved how I was 32 and somebody told me, well, you're going to have a heart attack by the time you're 30. And I'm like, well, then I'm a ghost because I turned 32 years ago. Anyway, so there's a lot of things I've had to be extremely honest with myself, and that's something my brother has to deal with too. My brother's also a good bit of my family is overweight, and my brother, who's my roommate, he's like half my size. He's still obese. He's still overweight. I hate that word, overweight. He's still fat, but he's not as big as I am. But he has issues where I do not. It's one thing Carla talked about, having feet and leg pain. I've been very fortunate in the fact that I haven't, even though I am as big as I am. It could cause issues because of so much pressure you're putting on your feet. I've been fortunate enough that unless I was something where I've been on my feet and just going at it for 12 hours, of course anybody's legs and feet are going to hurt at that point, but I'm fortunate enough that that's not been an issue for me as of yet. My brother, who's like half my size but still overweight, has major issues, and a lot of that has to do with he has flat feet, and he doesn't wear his orthotics like he should, and he doesn't take care of himself like he should, and or he hasn't been. He has now, and it's getting better, but and it causes major problems. And there for a while, like last year, he would have trouble getting back into the house after coming home from work, and I'd have to help him in. And that's one of the things that always struck me as something I'd always mention too, when people were like, oh, you probably have this problem. I'm like, dude, my brother who's half my size has that problem. I don't. And it's very individual, and it's one thing, And in talking about that, one thing that Jen mentioned in her response video, she talked about there are people that can be, you know, obese or a specific size, like 250 or whatever, higher, and be completely healthy. And that's something I completely agree, because it really irritates me when people talk about an ideal weight. They say, you know, you're this height or whatever, and you're male or female or whatever, and there's this ideal weight for you. And I think it's complete BS. I think ideal weight range, which can be quite wide, is individual to each person. I'm 5'7", and biologically, genetically, and physically, I guess you would say, have female parts, though I don't consider myself strictly female. But I can be completely healthy, completely active, completely normal working human being between 200 and 300 pounds. I was like 220, 230, and I was a gymnast, ran track, and did swimming, and did all this other stuff, hiked, did sandboarding, did all kinds of stuff at that weight, and because that works for me. Anything under that, I'd feel weird. But above that, it does start causing me problems. I've had to be very, very honest with myself in the fact of it does cause me to not be able to do things that I did when I was that size. And that's something that something I don't talk about often, but I've mentioned before in a video that I am in the process right now of trying to lose weight, because it's the weight I'm at now is preventing me from doing things. It might cause me problems with my feet or legs later on in my life. As I said, I've been very fortunate that it's not caused me yet. But anyway, this video is going really long, and I'm sorry. Yes, so I think a lot of it, or at least for me, or at least from my understanding, it comes from this thing that if you accept yourself, you shouldn't have to change yourself, which I think is completely BS, because you can want to change yourself because of different situations, and just because you accept yourself does not mean you're going to not have problems that you need to make changes for. And if you happen to have to make changes for something that's going to mean you have to lose weight, okay. That doesn't mean you don't accept yourself, and that doesn't mean that you're besmirching or you're spitting on this idea or this acceptance of self. Yes, this video is getting real long, and I'm going to go and end it there, and I hope I made sense, and I will see you guys in 2 weeks.